Well, good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. I figured I'd see everybody jump to their feet in joy when I said happy Friday. There you go. Okay. Yeah. We are in agenda review. We're looking at agendas for Wednesday, October 1st, heading into October. It looks like we have a county commission, Sedgwick County agenda, and a Fire District 1 agenda. So, Tom, take it away.
Two agendas. Nicole, what's good news do we have to start for Wednesday?
Good morning, everyone. We are still in need, or the election office is still in need of election workers, so we will talk a little bit about that. For county good news, emergency management recently attended their state conference and they took home a bunch of awards, so we want to bring them to you to hear about that. And then also finance received an award from Cash Vest 90 Plus. And so we will talk a little bit about that. I will also remind the public that on October 13th, the county is closed for an in-service day. And that's all I have.
Okay. On new business, or I'm sorry, on the agenda, we have two proclamations, Family Promise Week and Hispanic Heritage Month. We have a number of appointments. Item E is a Developmental Disabilities Advisory Board appointment by Commissioner Blueball. Items F and G are Forensic Science Center Advisory appointments by the body as recommended by Dr. Stedman. And item H is a reappointment of Dr. Kipper as Deputy District Coroner, as recommended by Dr. Gorilla. Under new business, two items. Item I is an amendment to the tag office lease on East Kellogg. We want to visit that. Brandy is here and Justin is here. Justin, do you want to cover any of this, or you want to just keep on going?
Commissioners, any will to want to have this conversation, or we want to wait until Wednesday, or any questions from the commission on what we're doing with tag office, an amendment to the lease on the tag office? Any questions?
We'll keep on moving.
Keep it rolling.
We have bid board is item J, and there are a number of bid board items. Most of them Lynn Packers from engineering, but 11 items, I think, total. Number one is river sand for public works, and item 2 is hot mix asphalt for public works. Number 3 is a aggregate for public works. Number 4 is some type of oil for public works, SS1H oil. Item number 5 is AB3 rock for public works. And then I think we get into other stuff. Item 6 is the insurance and business consulting services with IMA. Item 7 is on-call claims recovery and grant administration for finance. And all of the public works, I forgot to mention, were basically low bid kinds of selections. Item 6 with IMA is sole source. Item 7 is on claims recovery and grant administration for Division of Finance. That looked like sole source. Joe is here too. Item 8, which I think we want to talk about, is on-call commercial real estate broker services. Let me come back to that when we're done. We finished the list. Item 9 is an ongoing contract with Konica Minolta for copiers, printers, and multifunction devices for departments around the county. Item 10 is a Stryker Power overload piece of equipment. It's a stair chair for ambulances for EMS. And that looks like a sole source too. And then item 11 is a gas chromatograph for Dr. Stedman acquisition. I'm going to go back to, we can talk about any of these, but let me go back to number 8. And between Joe, can you come on up, please? And maybe just set Lindsay's chair because she's Zooming, I think. Over there, Joe. Yeah, you got a mic then. Tanya, you want to start and have Joe come in and kind of talk about the process, how we advertise that and how we select on that?
Commissioner, so I think recently we just went out for an RFP on this, and I'll have Joe kind of speak to how it works for soliciting the vendors, how that works for the list that goes out to vendors, and then of course we advertise that, so that can be seen by anybody looking at our proposals that go out. But basically what we're asking for is anybody that is interested in real estate broker services. So what we're asking there is to work with us for purchase or lease of real property. They help us with research on market conditions, preparing price opinions, consulting services that include site inspections, and then any activities or services associated with real estate transactions. I think I want to say that we've probably had these services for at least maybe 10 to 12 years. They assist us greatly between facilities and project services with this type of work. It can be very time consuming work to just engage in this process. So these real estate brokers help us a lot just with the time consumption on having to look at properties and so forth. I believe they also help to insulate staff and commissioners from any type of, insinuational relationships with, as far as, landlords or anyone who's selling properties. So it's really a benefit to us, I believe, to have on-call real estate broker services.
Commissioners, any questions?
Thank you very much, Chairman. I'm trying to get making my transition here from the city to the county and still trying to better understand it. What did we do 10 to 12 years before we had an on-call realtor? Because I'm trying to think back to my experience with the city. I thought when we needed a building or we needed something, we just did an individual RFP on that. So I'm trying to understand, what did we do before that?
Yeah, thank you. So I can only speak for when I was in that role. So it was, we either did exactly what you're saying. We either did an RFP for specific properties, or I was the one that was going out meeting for whatever a department needed. If they wanted a lease, or, for example, the Reagan building, we were out there kind of looking at buildings and trying to figure out what we wanted. And so we would do it like an RFP and figure out what we would get, or we would engage a broker to, try to find what we're looking for.
Okay. I guess, through some of the real estate transactions prior to me getting in the office and now being in the office, I guess I've had some questions about, the commission thing. Who's paying a commission? Is the buyer paying a commission? Is the seller paying a commission? I've also had some questions, and the public has brought things up to me about potential conflicts of interest, like when are we purchasing a property from the on-call realtor, or when do they have a property that we're selling? It I guess I still want to better understand how we are more efficient and we can provide better value to the taxpayer with having a realtor versus doing it in-house. We have legal, we can negotiate contracts and versus the old system of where we go out and we just do an RFP for specific buildings or something.
I understand exactly where they're coming from, Commissioner, on that. And I would just say in those particular situations, as you know, every deal is negotiated very differently. We have what's set up, in this table, but when you get into a particular situation, sometimes it's property by property, lease by lease. And so we try to work and negotiate, every particular real estate deal as best as we can and what's best for the taxpayer. But every deal is negotiated particularly to that specific property.
Okay. I guess, is there an urgency on this? Is the on-call realtor, is their contract expired, or where are we at?
Right now, it is expired.
It is expired. Okay. I guess I want to hear what the other commissioners have to say, but I would like to potentially maybe have another discussion before we put this up for a vote. Maybe we workshop this or something so that we better understand. So I better understand some of the value that you're talking about.
Ask technical question: with an expired contract, are we working under the auspices of the old until we have a new? So to the commissioner's point there, we could delay this. We could pull this, have a workshop, bring it back in 30 days. Commission.
I'm fine with any other thoughts.
Yeah, if we went with this, how many on-call do we?
Do we currently
Yeah.
have? We have 3 right now.
So this RFP, did we have 10 people apply and we picked 3 again or something?
We had, in this particular proposal, we received 3. And we'll
Received 3. And the recommendation was 2? Okay. Well, in respect to what Commissioner just said, Bubba, and the fact that I'd be curious to how Stephanie would feel too as a commercial person background. I think relooking, just understanding that is the right way to go.
Yeah, I think we'll workshop it. We'll talk through that, but we start with chapter one, the acquisition discussion, Charter 68, and we
Right.
take it from there and go into the specifics.
And we keep in mind, sorry to interrupt, Tom. We also keep in mind that once an RFP has been issued, we give them 120 days to hold their pricing before they have the ability to withdraw it. But I think that you should have enough time to do what you're asking, sir.
And how old is this? How far into that are we?
Oh, I did not check.
Do we have 30 days? I guess that's my question.
I think you do.
Okay.
I'll verify, but I believe you do.
So we'll pull that from bid board.
If that's the body. I can pull it right now. If it's, I'm good, we're good with that, right?
Yeah, I want to make sure everybody's comfortable and understands exactly the process. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Huh?
Couple of questions. So the funding agreement for GWP, what's the, can we have some details on that?
Well, I haven't got the, that's on consent.
I'm sorry.
We'll get to.
Let me go back to the bid board then. And I'm looking at the IMA contract. I'm going to assume that the current contract expires the end of September. Looks like. We know what the dollar figure was for the last, I assume it was a 5-year contract.
Sheena's online. How do we get her, Nicole? Or Joe, maybe do you know? If not,
I can go run and get that information.
There, Sheena.
Yes, I apologize. Commissioner, can you repeat that question?
What was the contract amount previous to this bid board item for
Okay.
the IMA?
Would you give me 1 second? I will pull that information for you.
Sure.
Great, thanks.
Are there other providers that provide this consulting services?
There are, currently we are with IMA. We've been with them for 5 years now. We have also used them with other services within the county. And we know that they are also a consultant with the other major entities within the community.
They're also a provider. They're not just a consultant. Is that correct? They provide some services, but not just consulting, but they
Yes.
actually do. Right?
Yes.
And one of the persons that voted on this had to recuse themselves. Can you explain why that was? What was the situation that person had to?
Well,
Joe, do you know?
Yes, since Anna is a member of the Human Resources Department, it was necessary that she recuse herself since she was part of the department that analyzes and uses IMA. So she felt that it'd be in the best interest of the board to recuse herself.
Okay. Our PBM contract are they going to be consulting on that? Is that part of this discussion?
Sheena is the pharmacy benefits manager. I think that's what you're asking, right? PBMs? Wouldn't ask that again, sir. I don't think she.
So the PBM contract that we will have for insurance for our employees, is that contract up for reconsideration? Is that part of this decision to use IMA for 5 years?
That's separate, right, Sheena? The PBM.
Correct.
Okay. It's a separate.
I guess I'm wondering, since there are other consultants for this service, why do we not at least open this up to others? And just to make another point here, this is the end of September, and this is the first we've seen this. This contract expires in a couple of days from today. It seems like we should have had some competition and probably should at least had a verification that we're getting a good deal. I know we all like, I know the HR loves IMA, that's obvious. But I think we owe it to ourselves to find out what else is out there. What would the other consultants have done differently potentially? What would their charges be? This is it's almost like we didn't really consider any other options. We just automatically assumed IMA would be the one, and we just simply let them pick a price, and there's no way that we can possibly know this is competitive when there are other providers that can do this.
Joe, were there other people that applied on the RFP?
No, this RFP was, right, it was professional services, which was just for continuity of services and what we've done in the past and the continuation of the relationship. And they've provided excellent service. That's the consideration that was given for us to continue our relationship with IMA.
So to be clear, we did not reach out to anybody else.
No, we did not.
You just simply called up IMA, say, give us a continuation of and give us a new number. We put it down and we were approving it. So again, we don't know what we don't know. We don't know what else somebody else would have done. We didn't really give ourselves a chance to learn it. So, and I don't like being in this position where you have a contract that's expiring literally the day before this is being considered. This is approved on October 1 potentially, and this current contract expires September 30.
Okay, let me, and I'll have Justin chime in on this. First of all, I don't think that the commission should ever be put in a position where something's hanging over their head where they feel like they have to vote for something. So if this contract expires, I think we have provisions where we continue the service under the old contract until a new contract is like the conversation we had with on-call realtor. So I don't think the commission should feel like that. I do think that we should explain to the public the relationship with IMA. They are a local business. They are the vendor for the city of Wichita on 259. So if we ever want to do anything in conjunction in the future with a big government entity, having IMA is a benefit. This brokering of this health insurance is extremely complicated, and I don't know how well Sheena's hearing or not, but it's extremely complicated. IMA is intimate with county government. We have a very unique relationship with them, and that's why I think Joe gives it sole source status, because if we switch streams, it is extremely complicated, and there could be some jeopardy for the county. And I think we need to explain that to the public on Wednesday's meeting, or we can come to your offices and explain this and justify this. And I do think ultimately we should explain it on Wednesday in public, because there's reason and rationale to go with this vendor. But I feel at the end of the day, Commissioner, I feel like if you do not agree with it, if the commission does not agree with this contract, then don't vote for it on Wednesday, and we will do something else, whatever, to the will of the body.
I'll just say this: our healthcare costs and the services we provide to our employees is probably one of our biggest expenditures in our entire budget. And we've given this very little due diligence in terms of trying to find out what can we do better, what other ways are out there. Look at what the private sector is doing. I mentioned this at the en banc meeting a couple times. There's other ways of doing things. There's other ideas that are out there. Our employees potentially are getting less than they could get, and maybe cost taxpayers more than it should cost them. Competition and innovation is imperative on health. We have to be smart in what we do. And I feel like all this is doing is simply just doing the same thing we've been doing, because we're used to it. We're not trying to be innovative. We're not trying to explore better ways of doing things. We're not looking for competition. And I'm not satisfied simply just to say, continue on. I want to challenge everything to make it better and more efficient, better services, less cost. That's our goal. And I don't know that this, in my opinion, necessarily gives me that confidence, because we don't know what we don't know.
Understood.
I'm not ready to vote for this.
Okay. I will simply say that, and I'm all for innovation and looking and competition, as long as we don't jeopardize a benefit for our employee, which is critical. And I feel like the county offers one of the best health programs in the region. I think it's better than City of Wichita. I think it's better than other employers. And we hear it from our employees. They're happy with their health care by and large. Nobody's ever 100% happy, right? But they're happy with what we're offering. They're happy with the process we go through. Again, I think we should talk about this at the meeting. We've got to pull it and talk about it publicly. I would need Lindsay here to add into this, because she's also intimately involved in this process, and have Sheena here in person, and we'd be glad to talk about this. And again, I say, I don't feel like the commission should ever feel compelled to vote for something because a contract is expiring. We'll work it out on the backside.
Well, if nothing else, the timing of this is terrible. I mean, to have this on this bid board proposal on October the 1st, when the contract expires September 30th. This is the first I've seen this. I've been talking about health issues and concerns about what are we doing and can we do it better, challenging ourselves to rethink how we do things. IMA is a huge company and, but there are others out there. And if you want to innovate and look for, I could go on a very long list of things that are happening in the private sector that have, I think, largely improved options for employees and have reduced costs for employers and employees, by the way. I think we owe it to ourselves to explore those ideas better, more so, and challenge what we do. I'm not happy just to status quo. Just do what we've been doing. I just don't think that's the right answer.
Okay, understood.
Can we understand, Justin, maybe Justin or Joe, or maybe even Sheena, if this thing lapses, do we have option periods? Help us understand so we know what we're walking into on Wednesday.
Chairman, I don't have the existing contract in front of me now, but I'd probably look to Sheena. I'm not sure if we don't have this service in place October 1st, if that's causes any lapse or if that's problematic. So I think she could speak to that probably best.
No, it would not cause a lapse for what we're doing. We've been able with IAMA before to go out and do some kind of bridge contracts with that as well. Right now, I will say that we are in the middle of prepping for open enrollment for 2026. So we do have a lot on our plate that we are working with IAMA right now. So if any type of bridge, we can, of course, communicate with them.
Appreciate that. Joe, any thoughts?
And then I'll personally work in conjunction with legal about extending or amending the contract for an extension, if that works with you, Justin.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Happy to.
Okay. All right. Why don't we just, Tom, maybe just prep to brief the commission pretty good detail on Wednesday. That way we understand what we're working with. And okay, that'd be great. So we'll pull it and have that conversation.
Oh, I guess I'm back. Anything else on bid board?
Everything else on the board, we're good. That's it.
All right, that takes us then to
Thanks, Joe.
consent. Thank you, Joe. Item K and L are right-of-way easement, temporary construction easements. Actually, item L has two items. K has a fiscal note of $1,600. And L, the two projects, which are for the state of Kansas South Central Regional Mental Health Hospital, have a fiscal note of $5,041. Item M is a agreement between Valley Center and County Public Works for required construction inspection services for a project around Valley Center that has some unincorporated county road as well. Fiscal note on that for the engineering services is $523,292.20. Lynn, anything else on that?
I do want to note that fiscal note is the not expense, but revenue that we will receive. In part, those are in-kind services we will be provided to Valley Center. So to cover, so that way we have no out-of-pocket cash going to that project at all.
Good to know. Thanks.
Okay. Item N is a conditional use for a accessory apartment in District 3, I think. Yeah, 3. Scott's here if there's any questions on that. Item O is, and I know Adrian sent an email just a few minutes ago before the meeting. This is the WIC agreement, $2,058,140 from KDHE for special supplemental nutrition program for women, infants, and children. Item P is now to Commissioner Helm to that point, Greater Wichita Partnership Agreement that the commission voted in the budget to go forward with. This is the agreement for that. Some questions?
So there was a proposal, we would ratchet up 3 years in a row. Is this that agreement or is this going to be what I suggested where we would?
This is actually the agreement for what they requested, and your option was thrown out when we talked with the body about it. There was not a will of the board to go that direction. So this is what GWP asked for, which is the 455, 550.
Someone please explain to me at some point why that is. Why is that better than?
I don't know that it is better, or and I don't know that GWP really cared. When we vetted this with the commission at the time of budget, this seemed to be the will of the board. I don't know that it's better or worse or different.
I got a number of reasons why we should do it differently. I don't have to do that here today or do it Wednesday, but do my colleagues understand the reasons why?
I'm fine talking about it today.
I'm a colleague. Does it have budget impact if we change? Is there
No.
budget
It's
impact?
the same amount of dollars.
Same amount of
Well, hold on.
3 year. It was 26 was.
Yeah, it was 455. It would have a Lindsay not here, but there'll be a $50,000
So
impact on.
if I remember correctly, it was GWP was recommending 455 and then 550 3-year agreement. Commissioner Howe, I think your discussion was just 500 across the board, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah, I think that was it. So
It's 1.5 million over 3
either
years.
way, over 3
Yeah,
years.
But you're right. It will cause a budget hiccup if we would switch gears at this point.
What's the implication in 2029?
I'm sorry.
What's the implication to our budget in 2029? In other words,
Well, I mean,
2026 is 450. 2027 is 500.
right.
2028 is 550. What do you think is going to happen in 2029?
That would be up to the commission.
Well, I think we all know what's going to happen. And I support GWP, but I don't like the presumption. And at the end of the day, it's easier on our budget, I think, to have a peanut butter relationship with GWP for 3 years versus a ratcheting up relationship. And by the way, we're surpassing Wichita. And what's Wichita's plan for 26, 27, and 28? Currently, we're matched, I believe.
I think they're at 450 for all 3 years.
Oh, I thought they were matched. I thought we matched.
I'll have to check on that, Commissioner.
Please validate that. But I think it's better for us to just level this out. And I think it clarifies that if there's going to be a discussion in 2029, we need to have that discussion. There's no presumption. And again, we can certainly have a greater, even more support then if that's what the will of the board is. But I don't want there to be presumption that every year you add $50,000, which is what this feels like. I don't think that's should be no assumption or presumption by anybody, but I think that's how it feels. So again, I just think it's better for us to do this for 3 years, a constant number for 3 years. We're invested in them. They do great work, but I don't see that there's a reason to do it the way. What is the compelling reason to do the 450,
Yeah.
500, 550? Why would we do it that way?
I think the conversation, I think GWP was, they were fine either way. They really were. I think the conversation that we had with the commission was trying to find as much budget savings as we could in 26. And there was doing 450 instead of 5 was $50,000 of budget savings, I think was the conversation. I don't think there was any real science to it other than that.
It's just kicking the can down the road means you're going to do a greater amount in 2028 than we would need to.
Yeah, you mentioned presumption. GWP never mentioned any presumption in the negotiation of this. I mean,
So again, I asked my colleagues, so again, this promise, then we're going to simply add more pressure to the budget in 2028 rather than giving the 2028 budget some relief that we would see the same pressure, same relief would be for all 3 years versus take a lesser amount now with the promise of doing more later. To me, that just kicks the can down the road a little bit. I don't like doing that either. So if we're going to give them that level of funding, let's just do it. So again, it's important to me. I want to support them. But if nobody else is if everybody else is indifferent, then why not concede? Why not go to a plan that I'm advocating for? Unless there's some reason you just don't want to do it because it's a Jim Howell idea. I don't know why else you can say no. There is some reasons why. I think it's reasonable to do 3 years the same, and I wish we would do it that way.
I don't mind that as well, but I really don't like the assumption that you're presenting that in 2028, we're going to have pressure on 2029. If I'm not mistaken, that's like 4 years from now. And you're assuming the GWP. So if you want to talk about 500,000 flat for 3 years, I'm fine discussing that. But if you're throwing the caveat out there that we're going to expect them to whatever, I think that's irresponsible and future predicting. And I guess we could go through every budget item and say, what's that look like in 2029? And try to guess 2029. So.
I don't know what's going to happen in 2029. All I
okay,
know
then-
is
then why don't you withdraw your assumption that they're going to come at us in 2029?
I guess I don't see a reason why we can't just do 500 each year for 3 years. That's my proposal. And it puts my other concerns at rest. It may not be valid at all, but it puts it to bed. So if it makes me feel better and everyone's agreement can agree to 500 per year for 3 years, why not just do that?
Or I think I will vet with GWP. I'm happy to. I'm a member of the executive board. I represent the county on their sorry, I am the county's representative on the executive board, so I'm happy to ask Jeff Fleur if he has any contention going either way. And then we can circle back with Lindsay to figure out the budget implication if we had 500,000 or 50,000, sorry, to 2026, figure out if that's a big deal or not. To be quite frank, I am rather benign on the topic either way, personally.
And I think GWP was there.
They were originally. I think
You're correct in the assumption when we were talking about our budget and we were making other cuts.
we were
in
making other
2026.
cuts. So the conversation was if we can find if we do 500,000 flat for 3 years, or if we can save 50,000 in the big budget pressure year, which we felt was 26, that was the conversation. But I'm benign either way.
Simple as that.
There's going to be pressure to cut our budget every year. That's not going to feel different next year either. So again, I just feel like to take the short, to do it less this year and then assume we'll add more next year, to me is just, it's almost not fair to ourselves. We just need to. And by the way, I was an advocate for going from 300 to 400,000 back when that happened. I was a leader on that, push us forward.
Yeah.
I support GWP. I know they do a great job. This is not anything about them. There's nothing negative about them at all. It's just about us, I think, being fair to ourselves. We don't, add pressure to our own budget later, that we're not willing to take on that pressure this year. I think it's clearer that whatever we do in 2029 there is no idea that there's some kind of, every year we do something. I don't want that to ever be a conversation. We can make that decision to increase in the future, whenever that happens to be the right time. This is the right time to increase it to 500,000. I think we should do so. And I think the presumption in 2029, it's going to be 500,000 unless someone has an argument to change it. To me, that's clearer. It's just easier to say, we did 300,000 for a year. Actually, it was it was $250,000 for a number of years when it was WEED Act, whatever that was called. We changed it to GWP. We went to 300,000 for a number of years. We changed it to 400,000. I led the effort to do that. And we were at 400,000 for many years. I don't think there was any discussion about lowering that or increasing that. It was 400,000 until now. Now we want to go to 500,000, which I think is a great choice. We should do this. And I very much support that. And there's some in the future, we might increase it again. That's another great discussion if and when that happens. But I think to just do something, increasing the amount year over year, I think it might be misinterpreted. I like the idea of doing a static number until we have that future discussion to change it intentionally. That's a great way for us to go.
Commissioner, we'll do it the will of the board.
Okay.
On this.
So this is on consent. So if we need to pull item P off the consent and have that discussion. In the meantime, I'll visit with Lindsay, and I think we all can visit with Lindsay to figure out her idea on the budget impact for 26 and if it's that big of a deal. And I'll also have a conversation with Jeff Fleur with GWP, which I assume is not going to be a big deal with him too. So, and then the board can make a decision.
Just want to make a couple of comments. I was previously on GWD's before it was GWP, worked through the market stuff, and it's a very fluid environment. So I appreciate you discussing it with them and finding out what the overall impact is.
Yep, you good. Okay. Oh, thanks.
Okay, that was item P. Item Q is the agreement with the Department of Corrections for it's actually an amendment to the memorandum of understanding on Veterans Court, and it's just to extend the timeline to July 31st of 2026. So it's an amendment to an already existing contract that you voted for back in 2023. Item R is a quick claim deed. I'm going to give you Justin's helper a bit. This was property around the beach aircraft site that went to Sedgwick County, and now it's going back to Textron. Is there any other information?
Yeah, it's really just a cleanup item where the other properties went back. There's just a small parcel that didn't as part of that. And so this is cleaning up, getting it back to them where it should have gone 8 years ago.
And then item S is another, and Lynn may want to speak to this. This is a consideration of an award in the amount of $150,000 from KDOT for a 2025 Innovative Technology Program for projects around the McConnell Air Force Base area. Lynn, you want to talk on that for this?
Yeah, we're actually making a correction to this. This is a 2024 innovative technology grant that we were awarded. We applied back last fall, about a year ago from that now, and were awarded in the spring. Just to get in the contracts put together for that, which will affect signal is adding some technology to 4 intersections.
Oh, okay, great.
Lynn, should that item be changed in, say, 2024 instead of 20?
Yeah, we've already made that change. Going forward, it'll be on the final agenda.
Thank you.
Item T is an approval of a large event application for a trunk or treat event at Sedgwick County Park. Item U is the employment agreement between Dr. Kipper and the county for the position of Deputy Coroner Medical Examiner. Item V is a list of affiliation agreements for IDD services that we routinely use, and that list is on page 133 of the backup for anyone that wants to see all the vendors that take part in that. And then item W is a request to hire a new deputy county treasurer at above grade minimum. Treasurer is losing her deputy and hiring in another one. We're actually going to double fill that for just a short time, so there can be some training back and forth. And this is the contract. This is the agreement with the new deputy coming in. Okay. All right. I feel like I've missed policy in there somewhere.
Yep, we do have a sharp.
X.
Oh, the next one. Item X is a policy revision to progressive discipline. Sheena sent you a note on this. There will be other changes to progressive discipline coming forward when we resolve the grievance policy matter within a few weeks. So this is a cosmetic change on the it's a minor change on progressive discipline that Sheena wanted to put in now. Okay.
There are so many changes to that. I read the red line version. I'm not sure what's actually, I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. And
Okay.
it's just
Maybe I'll have Sheena come into the office with you.
might be a good idea to do that. Yeah, I need a brief on that.
All right. Okay.
Thank you.
And that the rest of it is routine business on regular agenda, and the fire agenda is just the same policy issue, a singular item. So. Any other questions?
Okay. A lot on that consent agenda. Treasurer's here. Backup material will be updated for what we need. So I have no more questions. Anybody else have questions? Okay. Have a great weekend.